Hey, on that straight gate, man. Hey, trying to find peace in a world full of darkness. That is the hardest. Wise like a serpent, but like a dove harmless. Watching with sharpness. Everywhere I look, I see the devil's incarnate. With spiritual varnish, trying to hide the fact that they mocking heartless, heart-hardened with the hardness. Rakakadasha harness, feeling like a Spartan, kicking up the heartless from wicked I departed. Body's a temple, turned to a fortress, purge out the evil like a catharsis, lift the old weed like a carcass. Cause his sin blotted him like scarlet, feeling like David, I'm a harpist. Now my new fringe garment are tarnished. The straight gate I started, blessed with this gift. Now my flow cold as the Arctic, but stay grounded like a carpet. Weeds of pride can't even get started. In my mind, that's a garden. Gotta pluck them out or get sorted. Not tried by Judah, but I'm straight lion-hearted. Can't bring back to life that wickedness I aborted. Most can't even begin to understand this path I'm on. It's just not for them. Narrow's the path that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Broad is the path that leads to destruction, and many there be that go in there at. Just trying to let my light shine. Now they looking at me like I ain't in my right mind. Signs of the end times. They all be drunk, sipping on Babylon wine. Damn, man, they love it. Put nothing above it, that is they idols, so they my rivals. We contend with the wicked while keeping it tribal. You'll be held liable for sins you committing won't be justifiable. Come back to the Bible. I'm calling you Jacob, come back to the Bible. But y'all don't want to hear that. I can see I really fear that. You trying to stay clear that. Don't even want to believe the fact that you chosen. End time prophecy unfolding while the word molding. All of it's chosen, repentance is closing. Come back to the Bible, Jacob, I'm hoping for you. If you walk this path, there's no one before you. Keep laws and faith to the Most High, you'll floor you forever. The entrance to the kingdom is straight and narrow, set in a dangerous place. Like there's fire on the one side and deep water on the other. So small that only one man can go at a time. It's easy to fall, man.
The spirit bears witness of you devils. Heathens all around, but I'ma hold it down to the 12 gates to make it from the ghettos. Rags to riches, slaves to kings and wearing crowns. First you gotta make it to the straight gate. That life of sin you must vacate. Many are called, but few of them chosen. We doing the works for his name's sake. I plant the seed, you can water it. Look at the fruits that Yahweh brought out of it. I was a heathen and proud of it. Till he uprooted my life, I grew out of it. I open Bible up every day. Speak to my people to elevate. They believe there's one heaven gate. Narrow the path you must navigate. We in the loss of identity, but the Bible is our remedy. I raise my hand to the heavenly, knowing that he will never be forgetting me. Humble myself in sincerity, worshipping idols the enemy. Don't you know he is the Alpha, Omega, beginning and end? You must be out your mind. Are you Kennedy? Are you kidding me?
Shalom, shalom, Yasharallah. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, and I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. So I hope y'all had a peaceful Shabbat yesterday. Hope y'all had a good weekend. So we're gonna go over a quick, Most High willing, it'll be quick, right? A quick lesson or study, I guess, on polygyny. Right? Is it lawful and or is it expedient? Right? So I'm going to start by saying the reason why I'm doing this is I've done different studies or lessons, I guess, on polygyny before, and I kind of have I've tended to kind of not shy away from it, but I've talked about it before, and there's only so many times, there's so many things you can talk about. But the real reason why I did it this time is because at least a handful of sisters have reached out to me about this subject, and at least a handful of brothers have been also asking about it and also pointing out certain things about certain brothers, about certain camps, about certain just people in general, whether it be brothers or sisters, in this truth that talk about it, right? And in particular, in the last week, multiple sisters have hit me up that are fairly new to the truth, right? And with certain concerns where there's brothers that are trying to teach them certain things, and then automatically, so hopefully y'all can see my screen there. There we go. So then automatically they want to start trying to get them as sister wives, right? Sister wives or wives in general. So we're going to talk about polygyny first of all, but before we talk about that, I just want to say that, you know, even some sisters are pointing out, and in the time that's going to come to pass in the future, you know, the Most High reveals all things. Certain brothers or brothers that are in certain camps are going to be, how could I say, I wouldn't say exposed, but I guess that's a valid term, are going to be exposed for certain things that they are doing. You know, certain brothers that are supposed to be leaders and teachers and things of that nature, and actually aren't living according to the words, or according to the word when it comes to marriage, or it comes to polygyny, and when it comes to taking advantage of certain things, certain privileges as elders or leaders in the truth when it comes to women, right? Certain abuses and things of that nature that have been pointed out, whether it be physical abuse, whether it be verbal abuse, and anything of that nature, right? So real quick, let's go to First Peter 3 and 7 real quick, and then we'll get into the whole polygyny thing, right? So this is First Peter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So the first thing I'm gonna say about marriage in general, but obviously with polygyny as well, is that husbands, right, are supposed to be dwelling with your wife, or if you have multiple wives, according to knowledge. What does that mean? That means according to the Bible, right? According to the knowledge that is laid out in the word. Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, right? So coming into this, you have the knowledge of the Bible. If you have the knowledge of the Bible, you're supposed to be dwelling with your wife or wives according to that knowledge, and giving honor or respect to the wife as the weaker vessel. A lot of so-called brothers in this truth are taking advantage of the fact that the woman is the weaker vessel. They know she's the weaker vessel, and they play on her emotions, and they play on you know, her being weaker emotionally or mentally, and even physically, right? So like I said, there's been multiple cases of abuse and things of that nature, and some of them are being handled, some of them are not being handled, and of course it's always a case by case basis, right? It's always a case by case basis when it comes to these situations, but it's never okay for a man, whether they're in the truth or not in the truth, so-called in the truth, right, to put his hands on the weaker vessel. So let me say that first. But a lot of times, you know, women do provoke it. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of women that provoke that, but at the same time, I mean, it's unacceptable, right? Especially when it comes to leaders, so-called leaders of congregations or camps, or just men and women in general, right? So this is Ephesians 5 and 25. It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Hamashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it, right? So a husband is supposed to love his wife, first of all. And just like our Messiah, our Hamashiach Yahushai, loved the church and died for the church, a husband is supposed to be ready at any given moment to do that exact same thing, right? He's supposed to be willing to die for his wife or wives, if that's the case, if that's the Most High's will, right? So when you are, how can I say this? When you are in a marriage right? You are supposed to be living by the example of our Messiah, okay? Living by the example of our Messiah. In other words, he died for us. You're supposed to be able to die for her. He loved us. You're supposed to love her in that same manner. Now, at the same time, the woman, of course, is supposed to love the man the same. But a lot of men aren't willing to live with their wives or wives according to knowledge, right? And the reason for that is because they took the wife or wives for the wrong reason in the first place, right? So this is Tobit 8:7. And now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly, right? I take this not my sister for lust, but uprightly. So a lot of times, and especially not in the truth. I mean, if brothers or men or boys are not living by this word, they are not taking a sister uprightly. Okay, 9 times out of 10, they're taking her for lust, right? They want to lay with you for lust. They want to court you because they want to have sex with you. They want to date you because they want to have sex with you. They're taking you for lust, right? So, and now, O Yahweh, I take not this my sister for lust, but uprightly. Therefore, mercifully ordain that we may become aged together, right? So you got to take at least a little bit of credit when you're a sister, right? And you're in this truth, and then you end up in a relationship that's not what you wanted, right? A relationship that's not according to the word. If you end up with a man that is not living with you, that is not dwelling with you according to knowledge, like it says right here in 1 Peter 3:7, likewise ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge, right? Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. Okay, if they're not giving you honor as the weaker vessel, if they're leading you into sin, if they're sinning with you, if they're sinning against you, it's because they're not dwelling with you according to knowledge, right? But the majority of times, you got to take at least little bit of credit, you sisters, right? Because this is what happens. This is Sirach 6:7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first. Prove him first, right? A lot of women, and it's sad to see and it's sad to say, because I've seen it time and time and time and time and time and time and time again. Like I've said before, this is probably my third or fourth Instagram page, right? At least third, fourth Instagram page. So throughout these years, about 4 years, well, maybe about 3, because the first year I was just gaining knowledge, right? But the past 3 years, I've seen so many sisters that have ended up in relationships or in marriages, and now they're stuck. And like I said, they're being abused, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, whether it be emotionally, all of the above, right? So-called men putting their wife down because of their body type, because they're out of shape, because they're not pretty enough, because they're not trying hard enough with how they look, those sorts of things, which is mentally and emotionally, obviously, abuse, but then also physically abusing, right? And there's multiple men that have been accused of this and even have admitted to this, that are in the truth, right? And there's even more that are going to come out later, right? And abuse in all senses of the word, right? So if thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first. Now this says a friend, but this is advice. Obviously, a friend, a husband is above a friend, right? So you have to prove a man, prove them first, and be not hasty to credit him, right? When you're hasty, you will never hit your target. You will never, you're shooting for a man that's going to dwell with you according to knowledge, like it says in 1 Peter 3:7. But when you're hasty, when you don't prove him first, right? And then you find out later that, like, let me give you an example, okay? There was a sister that she courted a dude for less than a month, okay? He said he was in the truth, etc., etc. They talked over the phone, whatever. The first time she saw him, they ended up getting married, right? Now she's not even with the dude anymore. And this dude is a so-called leader, right, of men in the truth. And he's not even dealing with her no more, right? And the sister's now looking to get baptized because they taught against baptism. And most high willing, she can come deeper into the truth without this brother. But the point is, she was too hasty, right? 1 month is not enough time to prove somebody, okay? 1 month is nowhere near enough time to prove them. That was far too hasty to credit him, right? And like I said many other times, if y'all haven't seen the courting video that I did before, you cannot be hasty to credit somebody. A man or a boy, a grown boy, will say anything that he can in order to get in your pants, right? So when you're too hasty, you are going to miss the target you're trying to hit. This is Sirach 4:29. Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. Don't be hasty in the things you say, but also in your deeds, the things you do, right? You're being too slack. Marriage is a lifelong commitment, right? Till death do us part, as they say. You're being too slack, and guess what? You're gonna miss that target. You're not gonna get a godly man by not even courting him, right? By not even being courted by him. You're just being too hasty, right? Being too hasty. So let me get one more verse, and then we'll jump into the whole polygyny thing. I'm just going over this because y'all got to understand that the reason I'm doing this is not because I want to talk about polygyny and I want to teach about polygyny and this, that, and the other. There's many brothers and sisters that have been asking about this topic, and I'll send them like little verses here and there, and then they'll ask, well, do you have a video on it or things of that nature, right? So that's why I'm doing this. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. We know that we're living in the last days right now, right? Even many Christians will tell you we are in the last days, right? So let's jump to, or we'll just keep going. Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, right? When you're a lover of your own self, when you just love your own self, that's pride, that's being prideful, right? And when you put yourself above your wife, right, that's being prideful. Not in the order of the house, because we know the man is the head, right? But like Yahushua said, if you want the greatest, will be the servant of all, right? So we have to know that we're going to have to serve our wives in the sense that we have to give them knowledge, we have to give them wisdom, understanding, we have to provide for them as men, financially, spiritually, right, emotionally, one of the biggest ones. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, covetous. They're going to want women that aren't theirs. That's one of the things. Boasters. I've seen brothers boasting. Yeah, I have multiple wives, blah, blah, blah. Proud. Blasphemers. Disobedient to parents. And guess what? The number one parent that some of these brothers are disobedient to is the Most High, right? Abanawa, or our Father. Unthankful. Unholy. Some brothers are unthankful that they even have one wife already. And as soon as they get one, they're out in the world looking for another, or at all times, because I've seen this personally. Let's jump to verse 5. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Some of the so-called brothers that are in polygamous marriages have a form of godliness, right? They know these scriptures. They even teach the scriptures, but denying the power thereof, right? How are they denying the power thereof? By being lovers of their own self, by being covetous, by being proud, by being boasters, by being unthankful, unholy, all of these things, right? Let's read the last verse, or verse 6. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away by diverse lusts. Okay, so a lot of times, these brothers that are creeping into your house, right? Creeping into your house, acting like they're going to do you right. They're just trying to lead you captive, right? In other words, now you're stuck with me. Okay? Now you're stuck with me. And some brothers don't even care. There's top members of camps that have gotten with women and then just left them, right? Move on to another city and just leave them there, even though they're married. Okay? Multiple times. And lead captive silly women. Silly women. It's calling you silly women because you're not, if you're silly, you're not moving in wisdom. Okay? The Bible says that you have to try the spirit. The Bible says that you can't be hasty to credit somebody, right? You are a lot of times this is happening. Brothers are creeping into your houses and leading you captive, right? Because you're being a silly woman, right? And a lot of women aren't going to like that, but it's the truth. If you're not moving in wisdom, then you're moving simply or silly, right? Laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. And a lot of times, like I said, brothers are doing this and taking women because of lusts, right? Because of diverse lusts. Okay, let me just make sure there's no comments. Okay, Tawada Danya Olive for posting up the verses as always, right? You're much appreciated. So some brothers said, when I said I was going to talk about polygyny, and like I said, look, we've been on here, what, 20 minutes? This shouldn't really take more than an hour to talk about, because it's very clean cut in the scriptures, right? But some brothers said to me when I said I was going to do this, they said things like, don't worry about how many wives brothers have, right? Or mind your own business, right? So I'm not worried about anybody, okay? I'm not worried about anybody's how can I say? I'm not worried about another man's situation, right? Philippians 2:12, we all have to work out our own salvation. Okay, I understand that completely, right? But what certain brothers don't understand, and I understand where they're coming from, because they're coming from a camp mentality. A lot of these brothers, right? And let me say this first before I say that. Actually, me and another brother today were just talking about this as well. There's sincere brothers in every camp, or almost every camp, right? I've met sincere brothers from House of Israel. I've met sincere brothers from Sakari. I've met sincere brothers, a couple sincere brothers from IUIC. And I do not agree with a lot of things that IUIC teaches and the way they conduct themselves, some of the leaders and things of that nature, right? I've met sincere brothers from BOW and even GMS and all these other things, right? But a lot of brothers, what they do is they have they're sincere followers, right? They are sincere followers, and we're not supposed to be following anything except for the Most High and Yahushua and the example that He let or made for us, right? So let's start in Ephesians 5:9. This is why, or this is the answer to those brothers that say you are not supposed to, or don't worry about this, right? Worry about yourself. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, right? When you're moving through the fruits of the Spirit, right, laid out in Galatians, which is love and charity and kindness and all these things, I'm trying to do this out of love towards the sisters that are getting the sisters that are getting played, the sisters that are getting used, but at the same time to the brothers as a warning to some brothers, right? Because you're going to be judged by everything that we do, right? So this is also out of love towards you brothers, proving what is acceptable unto the Most High. So we're proving what is acceptable to him. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them, right? We're not even supposed to have fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. There's a lot of men out there that are specifically, right, committing this unfruitful work of darkness. When it comes to leading women to believe that they are going to be righteous heads, right? And they're not going to be. And they are not being, right? They are false advertising in a sense, right? That is their unfruitful work of darkness. And then the sisters feel stuck, which in a sense they are, right? So we are supposed to reprove this, right? Any type of unfruitful work of darkness. If you look up Ephesians 5 and 11, actually, I'm going to do it real quick. If you look it up in the other, what are they called? Translations. Man, it always opens up in a new window. If you look it up in the other translations, this is what it says right here. Expose them, right? Have no fellowship with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. We're supposed to be exposing these works of darkness, right? Expose them so that people are aware of them, okay? So that it doesn't keep happening to our people, right? Which, like I said, specifically happening to women. So let me just read 2 more verses. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret, right? So the Most High is going to reveal everything, okay? He is going to reveal everything. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. So all these things that are being reproved are made manifest by the light. What is the light? It's the word, right? The light is the law. The light is the precepts, right? For whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Whatsoever doth make manifest is light. We are bringing this to the light. This is light, okay? So for all the or the few brothers that hit me up and said you shouldn't be doing that, you should just worry about yourself. Don't worry about how many wives another man has. Don't worry about his other people's relationships. I'm not specifically pointing out this person this person that, this person this, right? People are already doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm saying in general as a warning to brothers and to sisters, right? In general. So let me get one last verse and then we'll get into the polygyny thing real quick. So 2 Corinthians 6 and 3. 2 Corinthians 6 and 3. Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Okay? Another reason besides the fact that I'm trying to expose these deeds of darkness is for this reason. Giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. Now there's brothers, right, that are in the truth, that are in polygamous marriages, okay, and they're not handling them correctly, and it's coming to the light and people are finding out about it. Either the wives are speaking up or friends of them are speaking up. Things of that nature are happening. And guess what? The ministry is being blamed a lot of times. Then people are saying, oh yeah, those Hebrew Israelites. or those Hebrew Israelite men with their polygyny and this, that, and the other, right? So you have to understand that, especially these brothers that are well known, right? You can't be, you're not supposed to giving no offense in anything. You're not supposed to give offense in anything. That the ministry be not blamed, because it looks bad on all of us, right? It looks bad whether we're even a part of that camp or that congregation or that whatever. People from the outside looking in are always going to bubble us together as, oh, those people or those Hebrew Israelites, right? So we're not supposed to be giving offense in anything, because the ministry is being blamed for it, right? The ministry is being blamed for it. So first thing, let's get into the whole polygyny thing. So the first thing I will say, actually, let's get Malachi, what is it, 3 and 6, I believe. Malachi 3 and 6. Come. So this is Malachi 3 and 6. For I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Right? So yeah, this is the Most High telling us he does not change. Okay? He does not change. The Most High doesn't change. He's not like your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend who was there for you 100% when you first started dating, and then she switched up on you or he switched up on you, whatever. Your best friend from high school that ended up stealing from you or told all your secrets or whatever the case may be. Okay, the Most High does not change. The Most High does not change. So now let's go to Matthew chapter 5. Let's hear what Yahushua said. I'm sure all of y'all are familiar with this. This is Matthew 5 and 17, red letters, meaning it's Yahushua, right? Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So he said, don't think I'm coming to destroy the law or the prophets. Okay? I'm not coming to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily, or surely, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Okay? So till heaven and earth pass, the heavens are still above us. We're all still standing or sitting on the earth right now. So that means in no wise, not one jot or tittle has passed from the law. Okay? So now let's go to the law. The law is what? The Torah, the first 5 books. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Okay? Let's start in Exodus. So we're going into the law. Keep this in mind. We are going into the law. He just said, not one jot or one tittle. Okay? One jot is a tiny little, like you jot something down, right? A little jot. A tittle, like you're putting a dot on an I. Okay? Now one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law until all be fulfilled. Let's go to Exodus 20 and 10. So book of Exodus chapter 21, Salakia 21 and 10. 21 and 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Okay, so this is a law. If somebody takes another wife, right? If I were to take another wife, my first wife's food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. They cannot go low. I can't start giving her less food, right? I can't start giving her less clothes. I can't stop being with her, right? physically or giving her less duty of marriage just because you take another wife. It shall not diminish. Okay, this is a law on how to deal with having more than one wife. Okay, so remember, Malachi 3 and 6 just said, for I am Yahweh, I change not. For I am Yahweh, I change not. So this law does not change. If a man takes him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. Now there's some brothers again, right, which we won't name, but there's some brothers out there that got multiple wives, and guess what? Their wives' duty of marriage diminished. How do I know this? Am I being nosy? Am I blah, blah, blah? No, because they moved. They now live in a different city. They live in a different state. Okay? They left their original wife. I know multiple brothers that have done this. They met a sister on social media or however they met her, and they actually moved and left the original wife in another city or state. Okay? That literally means her duty of marriage is being diminished. Right? Maybe he's sending her money. She still can buy the same food and the same clothes and all that. But guess what? Her duty of marriage is definitely being diminished. Also, how is this person, this man, supposed to be dwelling with her according to knowledge? Right? Let me pull that up real quick. 1 Peter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. What does dwell mean? Dwell means live with them. Right? Dwell means live with them. How are you going to live with them according to knowledge? How are you going to make sure her duty of marriage shall not diminish if you left the original wife that you had and you just go and visit her every week, few weeks, months, whatever it is, right? That don't make no sense to me. But there's multiple brothers doing this, right? Multiple brothers doing this. So now let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 21 and 15. Deuteronomy 21 and 15. So this is another law, right? This is in the Torah. If a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, so if the firstborn son, right, be hers that was hated, and when you look into the definition of hated, it can mean disliked, it can mean basically like you don't get along with, it can mean things of that nature, right? So if you have two, if a man has two wives, first of all, he shouldn't hate her in the first place, right? But when this does happen, because let's be real, this has happened and is happening now and will continue to happen, because Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 says there's no new thing under the sun, right? It says if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. So basically it's saying if you have two wives and you like one of them better, right? You cannot favor the one that you like better by leaving the inheritance, because back in the day the oldest son would get the firstborn inheritance. In other words, they would get the biggest inheritance, right? Nowadays, brothers, most men don't even have anything to leave for their children to inherit in the first place, right? But what it was saying is if the one that you like more has the younger son, you cannot leave the inheritance, the firstborn son inheritance, to that son, right? Just because you don't like that mother as much. right? That's what it's saying. But the point of this is it's another law dealing with multiple wives, right? If we just, I mean, the most basic thing that you can the most basic thing you can show, which I wasn't even gonna go to this, but anybody is like, we know we're all Israelites, right? We know we're all Israel. So let me see. So do you believe that our forefathers and foremothers were all like they came out of sin? Is that what you think? Because Jacob, right? Actually, let me see. Here's one. Oh no, that's what the sons. That's cool. So it says Leah, right? The elder sister, Rachel, the younger sister. Now this says Leah's slave, Rachel's slave. So they're servants, right? They're handmaids, right? If you read it, they actually gave their handmaids to Jacob, right? To have children. They were given to Jacob. So there's actually four mothers from the 12 tribes of Israel, right? 4. So 2 of them obviously were the wives, and then the 2 concubines. So now, do you think that the Most High allowed his chosen people to come out of sin? No, right? And that's why there's laws on how to deal with having multiple wives, right? That's why there's laws on dealing with having multiple wives, which is why basically, I mean, this should be common sense, right? But it's got to be in the law because the Most High knows that common sense isn't so common. So Exodus 21:10, if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. In other words, you got to be able, if you're going to take another wife, you have to be able to take care of your old wife the same way that you were before you got another one, right? So just based off of this law right here, we can honestly say that polygyny is not for everyone, right? I think it would be fair to say that. And if anybody disagrees, I mean, you can go ahead and leave a comment. Let me see. Yeah, so there's no comments, just the brother Danya Allah Tawara again. So yeah, just based off of this law alone, this should weed out like the majority of brothers, men that want to have multiple wives, right? Most men, like I said before, most men cannot even provide for themselves in today's society, right? By themselves. Like if he was living on his own, he would have to be living with his mom, or he would have to be living with a friend, or he would have to be living with somebody else just to get by, right? So if you can't even take care of yourself, brother, then it's gonna be pretty hard to follow the order that the Most High laid out for you, right? Which we always go to this verse of 1 Corinthians 14:40. What I would suggest to you is that you first get yourself in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40, let all things be done decently and in order. Okay? See that 144? That means, to me, this is spiritual right here. The 144,000 are going to let all things be done decently and in order. They are going to do things decently and in order. You're not going to get a wife when you can't provide for her, right? You're not going to set yourself up to fail the order that the Most High set up, which is this, 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh, right? So the head of the woman is the man. If you cannot be a woman's head, if you cannot provide for her in every sense, then you might as well wait until you get things decently and in order. Because the Most High is not going to approve of you not providing for your wife or your wives. You're not going to make it if you're not providing for your wife or your wives, right? 1 Timothy 5:8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So again, certain brothers that are doing this, and it doesn't matter if you're leading other men, it doesn't matter if you're the head of a camp, it doesn't matter if you're teaching, it doesn't matter. None of that matters to the Most High if you are not providing for your own, especially those of your own house. Why? Because you are denying the faith. So if you're thinking about getting into a polygamous marriage, any brothers, right? Because when you talk about polygyny, most brothers they're all for it. They're about it, right? But you have to make sure that you are not setting yourself up for failure. Some brothers are setting themselves up to deny the faith. Why? Because they're taking sisters for lust, right? A lot of brothers taking sisters for lust. Back to back. I see this. I've seen this so many times, man. And it's sad. It's sad, but at the same time, it's all the will of the Most High, right? The Most High is in control of everything. So, but if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. An infidel is a non-believer, right? An infidel is a non-believer. So now another thing, let's go to Romans. What is it? Is it 4? I think it's 4:15. Let me see. Romans 4:15. Romans 4:15. Because the law worketh wrath. The law works wrath, right? What is wrath? It is anger. When the Most High is angry with you, what does he do? He curses you. That's why from Deuteronomy 28:15 all the way to verse 68, there's curses that you are going to be under when you break the law, right? It's working his wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression, right? Where no law is, there is no transgression. So now you would have to show, in order to say polygyny is unlawful, you would have to show in the law, right, where there's a law that says you cannot have more than one wife, which we'll get into at the end. We'll get into verses that people use to prove that polygyny is unlawful, right? But let's deal with this real quick first. For where no law is, there is no transgression. All right, what is transgression? Whoso committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law, right? So where no law is, there is no transgression. In other words, where no law is, there is no sin. So since there is no law that says you cannot have more, thou shalt not have more than one wife, right? Then there is no sin. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law, right? Going back to Romans 4:15. Because the law worketh wrath, for where no law is, there is no transgression. So since there's no law that says you cannot have more than one wife, and there's actually laws like in Exodus 21 and in Deuteronomy 21 that are dealing with multiple wives, how to handle having more than one wife, then guess what? Where no law is, there's no transgression of the law, right? There is no transgression. In other words, it is not a sin to have more than one wife. right? It is not a sin to be in a polygamous marriage, okay? But, and I cannot believe, let me see. Wow, there's no comments on this. That's beautiful, because in the past, when I've even mentioned polygyny, it's just a bunch of crazy emotion and a bunch of feelings and all this I think and this and that, right? But now I'm going to say this. So there, it is lawful. It is lawful to have more than one wife. Okay? But is it expedient to have more than one wife? 1 Corinthians 6 and 12. All things are lawful unto me. Okay? That means anything where there's, like we just read, where no law is, there's no transgression of the law. There's no sin. So anything that is lawful to you, anything that there is no law against, it is lawful to you, right? All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient, right? What does that mean? What does expedient mean? It means profitable, okay? It means profitable. So just because there's no law against it, okay, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily expedient or profitable to you. Okay, how could it not be expedient? Let's keep reading. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Okay, so there's certain brothers. There was a brother that I used to follow on Instagram before I was like in the truth, and he had two wives, but they had like a page together, and they ran the relationship. You know what I'm saying? It was like a travel type of page, but you could tell when they talked and they would talk, they ran the relationship. They were the loud ones. They were the ones saying, oh yeah, well, then now we're going to go on this trip. We're going to go here. We're going to go there, whatever. And then he would just be like, yeah, okay, baby. Oh yeah, okay. You know what I mean? He was under the power of those women. Okay. And that's actually, let me get a quick precept. Proverbs 31 and 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Okay, if you're not strong enough mentally, right, and even emotionally, and strong enough in these scriptures with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, women are going to start taking your strength. Okay, women are going to take, and what is our strength? Our strength is this wisdom, right? That's why 1 Peter 3 and 7 says to dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the weaker vessel. They are the weaker vessel. Why? Because wisdom makes you stronger, right? The man is supposed to have more wisdom, but also the power, the head of the relationship, right? That's the strength. You can't give your strength unto a woman. So going back to this, all things are lawful unto me. So yes, it is lawful to have or to be in a polygamous relationship, right? So polygamous, which means a man that has multiple wives, right? Not polygamy, which can mean a woman can have multiple husbands as well, right? There's no accounts of that in the scriptures at all. But all things are not expedient. Another way this could be not expedient to you is if you cannot even handle, and I say that not in a negative connotation, if you can't even handle one woman or one wife, right, in the sense of providing for her, then you are not, it is not going to be expedient for you to have another one, right? It is not going to be expedient or profitable in any way, shape, or form. Because if you can't even provide, like it said in 1 Timothy 5 and 8, right? You're worse than an infidel, and you're denying the faith if you can't provide for your house. So imagine if you can't even teach your one wife the scriptures. Okay, a lot of brothers, like I've said before, a lot of brothers can't even teach themselves the scriptures. They can't even read the scriptures and learn for themselves and put precepts together and put a study together and all these things without having to go to someone that's above them, right? Like having to go and know, well, what's your understanding on this, brother? Or, oh, I'm going to just watch this video and take this lesson from this brother, and then, okay, I'm going to teach it to my wife. Or I'm going to, you know what I mean? They don't even have enough understanding for themselves or for one wife. So how is that going to be expedient or profitable to get another one when you can't even provide for her with the wisdom that you have, right? Then you can look at it in a financial standpoint. If you're struggling to make it right now and you only have one wife, right, then why would you get another one and dig yourself even deeper, right? You're digging your own grave basically at that point, because you're worse than the infidel if you can't provide. And you're denying the faith is what it says, right? You're denying the faith. So all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Another way that's not expedient, or another way you can be brought under the power of, is if you can't even handle a woman intellectually, in the sense that you have to know she's the weaker vessel, right? Like it said in First Peter, the 3rd chapter. If you can't handle a woman intellectually, knowing she's the weaker vessel, knowing that women are more emotional, right? There's certain times when you need to give them words of encouragement, when you just need to, there's certain times they need to hear certain things. There's certain times that they just need to be around you, right? You just need to be with them in silence, just hugging them. And you have to be able to gauge all these things. That comes with discernment, right? You have to know that women, especially, I mean, with the cycle that they go through, right? Their monthly cycle, their emotions go up and down. You have to know how to handle all these things. Some brothers just don't have the patience to handle these things, right? They don't have the patience or the love or the care or the fruits of the spirit, the gentleness, the meekness to handle these sorts of things, right? Some brothers get angry at these times, right? When they should actually be more gentle and more serving and more loving and things of that nature, right? So it's not going to be expedient to you, right? It's not going to be profitable to you if you can't even deal with this, if you haven't learned over time to control your own spirit around these types of situations, right? And this is why some brothers get mad. And like I said, in the beginning, people have reached out and people have pointed out about abuse and things of that nature. And you have to understand that most men are not able, this is not expedient for them. They are not able to handle having more than one wife, right? Or even having one wife when you come to think about it, right? Because you have to be able to lead, like it says in 1 Corinthians 11:3, right? And most men aren't leaders, they're followers, okay? Most men aren't leaders, they're followers. And that's why, let's go to this verse real quick. 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, if you want to be approved by the Most High, you have to be a workman, right? A workman in this truth. What does that mean? That means you're rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. That's work. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of mental work. Okay, even physically it can wear on you, just flipping pages and having your neck down and highlighting and going back and forth between books and this one and that one. You know what I mean? It can be physically taxing. It can get you tired. I know. So you have to be a workman in this truth, okay? To be approved by the Most High, A lot of brothers aren't workmen in this truth. Okay? They're not rightly dividing the word of truth. All they're doing is listening to other people and regurgitating and repeating exactly what whoever said, what they said, right? Whoever their elder is, whoever's above them, whoever they look up to in this truth, right? So if a man can't even work in this truth, okay, if he can't rightly divide the word of truth for himself, then how is he going to do it for a wife? Then how is he going to do it for multiple wives, right? So another good pointer for sisters is, if you're going to court a brother, I would definitely say a good indicator, if can he lead you, ask him if you can see his Bible. Ask him, but you know what, I have a different Bible on me right here, but my other Bible is all marked up. Ask him to go through it, right? If you go through it and you don't see no highlighting and you don't see no precepts and you see that it looks brand new, right? He's most likely not a workman, right? He's not rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay? That should be a real good indicator as to would he be a good head or not, right? So now let's go to a couple verses real quick. It's really only what, like two or three maybe. Or actually, you know what? Let's go to 1 Kings. I believe it's the third chapter, and then we'll come back to this. 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter. And verse, let me see. Verse 12. 1 Kings 3 and 12. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart. So this, if you read the whole chapter in context, Solomon, the Most High basically asked Solomon what he wants, right? He basically gave him a gift. He asked him what he wanted, right? And Solomon said, I wanted to be wise and understanding, right? So the Most High said, behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee, right? So he gave him I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there is none like thee before thee, right? Neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. In other words, nobody was wise like Solomon, except for, of course, Yahushua, right? Nobody before, nobody after was wise like Solomon. Okay? Even like in history and stuff, they'll tell you that Solomon was the wisest man to ever live, of course, besides Yahushua. So now let's see what happened to Solomon. It says 1 Kings 11 and 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, because he made an allegiance or a covenant with Pharaoh, an agreement with Pharaoh, and took Pharaoh's Pharaoh's daughter to wife. Women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, right? Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. So Solomon's downfall was women. It was having too many wives. Okay? But not just because it was too many wives, it was also wives of other nations. So what did they do? And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. Imagine dealing with 1,000 women. 1,000 women. Bro, now I only have one rib right now, right? And we've talked many times, like maybe one more, maybe two, but like 1,000. Can you imagine all of the hormones in that? Can you imagine trying to feed 1,000 women? That's how wealthy this man was, right? He could feed 700 wives and 300 concubines. Imagine all the kids. If he had 1,000 women, you know there's more than 1,000 kids, right? But the point of this is, and his wives turned away his heart. His wives turned away his heart, which is what? His mind, from the Most High, right? Turned his heart away from the Most High. So the brother Danya Allah, yeah, it's funny to think about now, right? But imagine being in that situation, Ak. Imagine like actually having to deal with that many women. So first of all, if we go back to the law, right, that we looked at, I'm gonna pull it up since you posted it. Let me see. Deuteronomy 21:10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. So part of that duty of marriage, I mean, let's be straight up. Hopefully we're all adults here. It's sex, right? It's fulfilling each other's sexual desires, right? That's why you have, part of the reason why you have a husband or a wife, so you don't go out and fornicate and do all these, commit sins of the flesh, right? Do you really think that he didn't diminish some of his wife's duty of marriage, right? Having 1,000 women? That's crazy, man. But the point is, his wives turned away his heart, right? So now if this can happen to Solomon, the wisest person besides Yahushua to walk this earth, of course it can happen to these so-called leaders and regular brothers, right? Because we're not supposed to be respecters of persons when it comes to anything, right? Whether they're rich, whether they're poor, whether they're a leader of a camp, a member of a camp, just a regular brother or sister off the street. When it comes to judging by the law, we have to judge righteous judgment, and we can't be respecter of persons, right? So it can happen to anybody. A wife can turn away your heart from the Most High, right? Can definitely turn away your heart from the Most High. So now, some brothers or sisters, I've seen brothers teach this, and I've had sisters try to use this to try to prove to me personally that you cannot have multiple wives, right? So this is Deuteronomy 17:17. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself. So again, this is Deuteronomy, right? This is a law. This is a law for sure. It's in the Torah. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away, right? So didn't we just read what happened to Solomon? And his wives turned away his heart. Okay? His wives turned away his heart. So now, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. So didn't this law perfectly come to pass in Solomon's life, right? It perfectly came to pass. His heart turned away. Man's had no man's had no time for studying or praying or teaching. Imagine trying to get, so now imagine trying to get all your wives together and teach them. If you were Solomon, right? And you had And this is 1 Kings 11:3, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. Imagine trying to teach. How are you going to teach 1,000 women, bro? Come on. Man's had no time for studying. How are you going to study? Right? How are you going to have time to pray trying to deal with all these women? Bro, I don't even know how you could deal with all those women if you get what I'm saying. Emotionally, just how are you going to talk to all these women? How many oh yeah, so this is interesting. Check this out. Now that I was about to bring that up. Oh, Salaki, I put seconds. Y'all know how many minutes are in a day? Check this out. 1,440 minutes in a day, right? That's pretty cool, right? 144. So there's 1,440 minutes in a day. Okay? 1,440. So now, if he had 700 wives and 300 concubines, that's 1,000 women. So what, he's going to spend like a minute a day with each one in order to keep the law in Exodus 21:10, which says her duty of marriage shall not be diminished, right? Right here. If you take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. If you want to keep it, you want to try and be fair with all of them, you're only going to be able to spend about a minute with each one a day, and then the rest of the time you're going to have to be sleeping. And then, like I said, part of that duty is to be physical with them, right? To have sex with them. There ain't no way you're going to be able to have sex with 700 women, bro. Like, that's just ridiculous, man. And that's why it says right here, and his wives turned away his heart. Right? So now when we go back to the law, to Deuteronomy 17:17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself. Now, I've heard women say, you see, you're not supposed to have more than one wife. Now, who multiplies? This is how simple the sister got, right? I said, okay, so if you have one wife and you add one more wife, that's 2, right? And she was like, well, 2 times 1 is 2. Who is gonna multiply 2 times 1? You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna. If I say, hey, how much is this? They're not gonna be like, okay, 2 times 1. No, bro, you're gonna be like 1 plus 1, that's 2, right? When it's talking about multiplying wives, it's talking about a great amount. It's talking about a lot, is what it's really talking about. And that's why it says, if we read the whole thing, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Right? When you have too many wives, it's going to turn your heart away. Because like the brother Danya Allah said, man's had no time for study, right? When Psalm 1:1-3 and Joshua 1:8 and other verses say you're supposed to meditate in the word day and night. How are you going to be able to do that if you have too many wives? They're going to turn your heart away. Your mind is going to be on your wives, right? Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Okay, so what I've asked that sister and what I've asked other brothers that have brought in this same verse out. So if you think that multiplying wives is a sin, right? As in, say 1 plus 1. Let's say you think that's multiplying wives. So it says, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Okay. It's going in the same context. It's talking about multiplying is a big number, okay? And then greatly multiplying as well. Now I'm not going to say, like me personally, and I've talked, like I said, I've talked with my rib before. I don't think I would want more than one more wife. And that's coming from my rib's standpoint too, you know? She's always said, like, if there was a sister in the right spirit and things of that nature, and she was obedient to the Most High, then she could be obedient to me. And they got along, and they could be sister wives, right? Not just wives, right? Just, oh, I have 2 wives. Sister wives where they got along, and they can hang out, and they can do things together, maybe sew together, cook together, even, just hang out, study together after they've done all their duties, whatever, even watch TV together or whatever the case may be, listen to music together. That would be the ideal situation for us, right? But then you have some brothers that, oh, no, I want 50 wives. I want 100 wives. I want whatever, right? And I mean, to each his own. But like I said, having too many wives can turn your heart away. And notice it doesn't just say, neither shall he multiply wives to himself. No, there's a purpose that his heart turn not away, right? So if I say stay away from the stove, so that you won't burn yourself, same thing, right? Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. There's a purpose behind it. Okay, so now another verse. This is probably even more common. You go to 1 Corinthians 7. This is what a brother from IUIC tried to use as well, right? Tried to use as well against me and I mean other brothers. It's normally the same. If you pay attention, it's normally a lot of times the same people that are coming with this doctrine of polygyny is wicked, and oh, you're a wicked nigga if you want to have multiple wives. Or like what's his name, the dude from IUIC, the main guy, Bishop Nathaniel. I don't know if y'all saw that post. I had reposted it probably months ago, but he said he made a post, right? And it's him, like, I think it was standing there, and it's like a cartoon form of him. And it said multiple wives are really multiple hoes or multiple whores. Something like that. Something to the effect of that. And like, bro, that's going completely off, right? Completely off. But anyways, this is what they try to use, right? So it says, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So now this is Paul writing to the Corinthians. And the first part of the chapter you have to understand is, now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me. Okay? This wasn't like Paul saying, okay, I need to write this to them, and I'm going to write this, and just going off a whim and just going off the Spirit and the Most High, this, that, and the other, right? Of course, this is inspired by the Most High. But this is a reply to things that they wrote to him. Okay? So he said, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So now this is where people from IUIC or certain sisters or brothers or whatever, they'll read this verse, or they'll pull this verse. See, let every man have his own wife, that's singular, see, doesn't say wives. Let every woman have her own husband, that's singular, see, drops mic, tries to walk away, right? But you have to understand, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, he's writing back to them. So if you keep reading in context, which for time's sake, I'm just going to jump down to it. Verse 6, but I speak this by permission from who? The Most High, and not of commandment. This is not a commandment. He's clearly telling you this is not a commandment, because Paul knew the law, and Paul isn't going to speak and teach against the law. Okay? He's not going to speak and teach against the law. So that's why he says, nevertheless to avoid, because you have to understand, Paul was what you call a eunuch, right? He wasn't dealing with women because he was so into pushing the word and building up the church at that time, right? It is good for a man not to touch a woman, because that's what he was doing, right? Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So now if I tell the brother Danya Allah, hey, you want your own beer? Or hey, you want your own Bible, right? Or it's good if you have your own Bible. Does that mean that I'm saying you can't have 2 or 3 Bibles? Or you can't have 2 beers? I mean, I personally don't drink beer, right? But just as an example, if I say, hey, it's good for you to have your own Bible so that you can study, that doesn't mean that I'm saying you can't have more than one, right? You cannot have 2. And that's how brothers or sisters use this verse and try to, they're adding to the word is what they're doing, right? They're adding to the word. And they're taking away from the word because they're not reading in context. If they would just read 4 verses down, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. So it's not a commandment to have one wife, right? So let me go to the comments real quick. Let me go back up. I know I saw a brother that commented something. Okay. Humble servant of Yahusha. See Dawid. A man living in Torah has a function. He is the Elio. The wife is the Bet. So yeah, the Aleph. I think you may have typed that wrong. The Aleph and the Bet, right? So when you look at the Hebrew, right, not the Paleo Hebrew, but the older form of Hebrew, right, which has the actual symbols, the A or the Aleph, right? The A, actually, let me pull it up real quick. It's an ox head, right? Hebrew versions. It's an ox head, right? Let me see if I can get it real quick. Let me see. Let me try ancient Hebrew. You know what? This is Bing. That's probably why. Go to Google. Ancient Hebrew alphabet. Here we go. So now, just bear with me real quick. Just since the brother brought this out, it's going to open in a new tab. So let me zoom in. So that's a good point what the brother said. So the man is the Aleph, okay? The oldest Hebrew, right, which some people call ancient Hebrew, some people call it symbol Hebrew. I've heard people call it different things, right? But that's not the point. The oldest, the Aleph, was a head, the head of an ox, okay? An ox head, meaning it symbolized power. It symbolized the leader, okay? The Bet, like the brother said, the man is the Aleph. The woman is the Bet, okay? The man is the head. It's an ox head. It's supposed to be strong, powerful, the leader. The Bet, okay, was supposed to be like a tent. In other words, a house, right? When you think of the house, think of a housekeeper, right? You think of a family inside of the house. The woman is in charge of raising up the family, taking care of the house, right? So when the brother said, let me go back. When the brother said that the woman, a man living in the Torah has a function, he is the Aleph, the wife is the Bet. Khan, that's exactly. Salakia kicked me out real quick. I don't know what happened there. Let me reshare my screen real quick. So yeah, if you haven't looked into the Paleo Hebrew, I would strongly suggest that you do, because there's a lot of little gems in there that that you'll learn, little things that you'll learn like that. Like the brother said, a man in the Torah has a function. He's the Aleph, he's the head. The wife is the Bet, right? Let me go back up to his comment real quick. The man is supposed to be the king and take care of the home, the wife and the children being the provider. So Khan, exactly. How much use and highlighting? So I mean, that depends on you. Some brothers, I've seen brothers that don't like to highlight in the Bible at all. And I mean, to me, that's not I can't work with that, bro. Like I can't. When I in my personal Bible, which like I said, I don't really use this one too much, but I do like this one because let me show y'all real quick. I've showed it before, but right here in the middle, these are all precepts, right? All these are precepts for other verses. So I use this one just to use as like a cross reference. But in my main Bible, which I have it in the living room because me and a brother were doing a study a little while ago. It's highlighted everywhere. I have stuff boxed off. I have little notes. I'll write the Strong's definition, the Hebrew or the Greek definition on certain words just to get a better understanding. I have a bunch of precepts. Like, it just depends on you. But for some brothers that don't like to highlight or mark up their Bible, to me that's a waste of a Bible, right? Dominic Burton, right? We are in the law of liberty thought. We are in the law of liberty thought. Okay, so I think you mean though, right? So me and another brother are actually going to do a lesson on that. I'm not going to get into that right now. Not the law of Moses. Okay, brother, you're going to have to explain what you mean by that. Isaiah 4, in that day, 7 men shall cleave unto one. Okay, yeah, we'll get that real quick since it's on topic. Yeah, me and another brother actually, we're going to talk about being under grace, being not under the law, what that actually means, the law of liberty. We're going to do, most high willing, this week, we're going to do a live on that, me and another brother. I'm just waiting for him to get back to me. So Isaiah 4:1, and in that day, or actually, I'm going to jump back. Let's jump back to chapter 3 so we can get the context, right? Let's jump back to chapter 3. So this is talking about in the end times, the times we're living in right now, right? Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. In these times to come, there's going to be a lot of men that die. Okay, say if there's a famine, say if there's, if your family don't have something to eat, who's the one that's going to be going out and looking for stuff? Men, right? Who is going to be the one out going and fighting? Men, right? So a lot of men are going to die. Like it said, your men are going to die. And her gates shall lament and mourn. Your gate represents the front, like the security, right? She's not going to have no security. She's going to lament. She's going to mourn. She's going to be sad, right? A lot of women. And she being desolate meaning empty, right, shall sit upon the ground. So imagine just a woman just sitting there and her man is dead for whatever reason, whether it be famine, whether it be in the war, whether it be fighting for survival. Isaiah 4:1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So in that day, in the last days, in the end times, in Jacob's trouble, 7 women shall take hold of one man. So now some brothers take that literally and say, yeah, I can't wait to get my 7 women, or I have 1 wife, I can't wait to get 6 more. But if you know the Bible, 7 is the number of completion, right? For some men, 1 woman is going to be that 7. That's going to make them complete, right? For some men, maybe it's 2, right? For some men, maybe it's 3. It just depends on what the Most High has set up for you, right? But in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, right? because that's going to be a very valuable thing for women to know, right? Like my rib knows how to make unleavened bread. All you got to have is some flour and some water, and you got bread, right? Hey, we'll make our own food. We'll wear our own apparel, right? When we went over the whole Proverbs 31 thing in the live about a woman being a wise investment, right, to a man, sewing is a very wise thing to know, right? We will wear our own apparel. What do you think is going to happen when there's no store to go and buy apparel? You're going to have to know how to patch clothes, how to sew things, make dresses, skirts, shirts, whatever the case may be, right? Only let us be called by thy name. How do you be called by a man's name? By getting married to him, right? To take away our reproach. Reproach, to take away our shame, right? Let's keep going just for context's sake. In that day, the branch of Yahweh, in that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And when we escape from all those plagues and all those things, it's going to be beautiful, right? One more verse. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, he that is left of the Israelites, and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. All the Israelites that are left are going to be called holy, because that's the only way that you're going to make it to the kingdom, right? Is by trying to live in a holy manner, right? Salakia, let me see. We will have multiple wives in the kingdom, no doubt. Khan. So like I said, verse what is it? Verse 1. Verse 1. 7 women shall take hold of one man. So, like I said, some brothers that number of completion is going to be higher than others. Some I've heard brothers say, hey, I only want one. I'm good with that. If that's their number of completion, that's their number of completion, right? Righteous souls, I write my precepts in a separate book and just write the name of the topic. So I used to do that as well. My rib has a precept book from all the precepts and categories that I've saved up over the years. And there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, it's good to know, or it's good to have it in your Bible, so that let's say you see somebody or a family member or a brother or somebody and you want to show the word to, and let's say you go, for example, you go to Malachi 3:6, since we brought that up earlier. It says, I am Yahweh and I change not, right? And then right next to it, you have Matthew 5:17 through 18, right next to it, right? So then you could just be like, okay, Matthew 5, let me show you this. And then Yahushua said, I didn't come to destroy the law. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to just have it in your Bible as well, right? So let me see. I'm still new to the truth. I haven't highlighted in my Bible yet. That's why I have my book with precepts and the topic of what I'll break down. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at the same time, it's good to highlight in your Bible because it's easier to find things like that. You're going to be, when you study, and this is going to happen to you more and more and more. This happens to me all the time. I'll be like, oh, what was that one verse that I just studied earlier today or yesterday or a few days ago? And then I'll be like, I know it's in Sirach, the 30-something chapter, and I go to it, boom, and I'm looking for it, and then, okay, it's right there. It's highlighted, right? When you don't have stuff highlighted, it's going to be way harder for you to find stuff like that, right? Way, 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 way harder. So I think that's pretty much it. I'm actually surprised because a couple of people said they were going to be on here to not debate, but kind of I guess you could say debate your cause with thy neighbor, right? A lot of people like to go to that, but to try and say their piece, I guess, against polygyny, and that didn't happen. So all praise to the Most High for that. That's a good thing. I mean, to be honest, that Deuteronomy 17 and 17. Let me go back up to it. That's what that and 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, is pretty much all the ammo anybody has when it comes to saying polygyny is, here it is unlawful, right? This verse, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. That verse, and then 1 Corinthians 7 and 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So like I said, if I told the brother, hey, it's good that you, let's say I say, nevertheless, to avoid not studying, let every man have his own Bible. Let every woman have her own Bible. That doesn't mean you can't have more than one, right? And then verse 6, but I speak this by permission and not by, or not of a commandment, right? So the point of the whole lesson is it is lawful to have more than one wife, but like I said, for the majority of men, especially brothers that are new to this truth, right? And a couple of brothers have already told me, hey, like they've asked about polygyny, and I've told them, hey, you don't really need to worry about that yet. And one of the brothers was like, hey, you know what? This is just for my no talk. I'm going to be honest. I'm not ready for a rib yet. I need to get myself in order first before I even get one rib, right? But I'm just asking for my notes when it comes to polygyny, and all praises to the Most High for that brother's spirit, because most brothers don't have that spirit, man. They have the spirit of lust, and that's why they want to learn about polygyny, and they want to just teach women. And you know what? I had a sister today actually hit me up and say, there's this man that lives in the United States. I don't know where she's from. There's this man that lives in the United States, and he's trying to teach me about polygyny and all this, and I don't want to learn against or go against the Most High, so I wanted to reach out to you and ask, and this, that, and the other. And that was like, I guess, like the final straw of people asking about this topic when it comes to being lawful. So that's why I did this, right? So let me go back to the comments real quick. Bianca B, thank you for this teaching. All praise to the Most High. So Khan, all praise to the Most High, sis. Ayanda Bar. And with that, I'll give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'asham, HaMashiach, Yahweh Shai. The water for everybody being on here. To Brother Danya Allah, as always, the water, I appreciate you. So all praise to the Most High. Y'all have a good one. Shalom.